And welcome back to another GACC podcast where we're going to be discussing games, anime, computers, and collectibles, but not necessarily all that in one week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still your host, Harrison.
I'm Faust.
And to our right is nobody today. So
Yeah, we decided we'd just go with the dynamic duo here.
yeah, well, James decided to go up to Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And
He's out there probably at Meow Wolf.
yeah, and Boss Panders decided to go pander off and do something else.
Something like that,
Yeah. So we're gonna go, give our commentary on things of the week because we haven't said it in a while. This is our opinions. This is commentary. Our thoughts and everything. We are not journalists. Okay, we will never say we're journalists. We're gonna get things wrong.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have opinions.
Yep.
So that's
this is just stuff that comes up out of the news stories that we look at. That, like, we're not here to like report on things.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
That would be we'll leave that up to other people. So we'll never consider ourselves to be journalists unless we actually put together a story where we're actually doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But this podcast is all about what we think. And
lately we haven't been thinking very much, which is why you haven't seen very much from us.
No.
Yeah.
So, we'll blame that on other things. It's trying to get wound back up. But what I am thinking about is CES is coming up.
I believe it's been going on.
Is it going on?
It's been going on.
So coming up, going on, something like that. Like I said, we're not going to be accurate.
Yeah. It's been going on. There's been stuff coming out about, smart bathrooms and NVIDIA's doing self-driving cars.
And we're finally seeing a second revision of the HTC Vive called the HTC Vive Pro.
Yep.
Which has wing flaps now. So you can be Pippi Longstocking if you've ever wanted to be that. I think we just dated ourselves right there. Pippi Longstocking.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't get very far into Pippi Longstocking.
But you at least understand the reference.
Yes, I did.
So they've put out a Pro version of the HTC Vive, and this was kind of needed because when things in the market like the mixed reality is higher resolution, they need to step up their game. So I think the HTC Vive not only does it come with headphones attached and everything like this, and this is to combat the Samsung Odyssey.
Yeah.
So the Odyssey has headphones built in. This has headphones built in. These flip up, and the screen resolution now is on the same level that the Odyssey is.
Okay.
So we have that going on with it. And
so
then,
it is as predicted, mixed reality coming out and essentially flooding the market with a rather convenient holiday sale.
Yeah.
Has created a shift in the paradigm. Where now because the Vive and the Rift were these all-encompassing headsets, except you needed a headset for audio, and they had in-room tracking, whereas mixed reality has in-headset tracking.
Yeah.
Most of them have jacks, if not actually built-in headphones like the Samsung does, and most all of them flip up so you can actually get a sense of the world around you. Now, I will say, after using the Lenovo one that I've got, that whole headset flipping up thing, you've got this it's hard to say anything other than you got this cheap headband that, keeps it on your head, but it doesn't really feel like there's that necessary support to really flip it up and actually like leave it up and look around like you're Egon from Ghostbusters or something. But, it comes in handy.
Well,
it really does.
So one of the things that's interesting is because you have mixed reality has built-in tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Vive still has the room sensors, but
they have gone wireless recently as well.
The thing with the room sensors, well, we'll get back to the wireless here in a minute.
Yeah,
is you can now pair up to 4 base stations, and you can make a play area that's 10 meters by 10 meters.
Holy crap!
That is 33 feet by 33 feet.
Holy crap!
I don't have a room big enough in this house.
Yeah, you're gonna rent a warehouse for your VR experiences?
I don't. What are you gonna do with 30 feet?
Set it up on the high school basketball court?
I don't know. I mean, that's like what, 30 by 30, 900 square feet. 900 square feet.
Yeah.
Okay, of space.
That's a house.
Yeah.
That's a whole house.
Yeah. That's insane. Okay. I mean, what can you do in virtual reality in 900 square feet nowadays? Nothing. Nothing yet. So it's absurd. I mean,
Well, for having like that huge room, or even the rooms that I see the Vive getting set up in, using room mapping on the Lenovo mixed reality headset, I never really was occasioned to move around more than within a square foot or 2 square feet. Like even though they require a minimum of 5x7.
yeah.
Like you don't really you're not going to be running around or combat rolling or anything like that. It really is at this juncture, like you don't really move to dodge or that way. You don't move your physical body to move around in a game.
No, you just move around to follow the boobs.
There is that.
But even now you still have a wire attached. Now the other thing they finally showed off is the wireless module for the HTC Vive. Mm-hmm. It's going to be able to work with the regular one and the Pro. And I don't think they talked about price on it yet, but basically there's going to be no wires attached to your HTC Vive headset. Mm-hmm. And I think that will be a game changer too, because now you don't have a cable you're trying to manage and prevent you from going swivel around like 360 and getting wrapped up in it.
I will admit that is quite cumbersome on the current headsets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that legitimately is a problem.
Yeah.
Even with mixed reality or anything else, is you're still having to keep an eye out for that. The wires attached to it.
I was almost thinking of trying to get it so I could close my HP Omen and slip it into a backpack and be able to still utilize the motion controls in the headset with that on my back. But that's putting a running gaming laptop into a bag that's not exactly known for its cooling.
Well, and that's why they've made backpack modules for a niche market this last year. As it is for the HTC Vive. That way you can free roam a little.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait to see somebody in 30 feet by 30 feet space with the backpack strapped on and, playing Gun Gal VR.
Gun
Gal. Yeah, it's like, and then you walk in on them and go, why are you only using one controller?
Well, yeah. Why do you have to play in your boxer briefs?
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, speaking of ostensibly creepy things, Studio Trigger, probably famous in anime for its breakout. Well, I'm assuming it's a breakout title, Kill la Kill.
Kill la Kill. Oh yes. That was interesting. It had a lot of heavy-handed sexual references.
There was a lot of fan service.
Yes,
we'll be nice and call it that. There was a lot of fan service. It's interesting how it's a careful balance in every episode of fan service. I watched the whole thing. It's a careful balance of fan service to keep you coming back, and then the story kind of just gets its feelers in. And by the time you get to the end, you're like, wow, I'm actually really invested in these characters and what's going on.
Yeah,
it's just the weirdest thing. So they did announce last year 3 new projects. The announcement was made at Anime Expo. One of those projects is actually starting to look to be coming out next month, which is Darling in the Franxx, 2 X's.
So it's software porn?
I'm unsure. This is Studio Trigger. Sci-fi series directed by Atushi Nishigori. Sorry about your name if I pronounce that wrong. And is in collaboration with A1 Pictures. So Nishigori is known for Gurren Lagann and the Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt series.
Well, that's a low bar right there.
Trigger teaming up with A1 Pictures is, of course, a new thing, but it sounds really interesting. They have the Kara 3D team, and they're bringing in a sci-fi anime, which is basically 2D giant robot mecha action kind of thing. And it has some amazing action bits in the trailer. It has the requisite amount of fan service, if that's what you're expecting. But it looks like something to keep an eye on, and it's going to start simulcasting on Crunchyroll quite soon. I'm looking for the exact release date, but
you gotta love Japan. They give no fucks. They basically say, we're going to make something and it will have fan service. We don't care.
Well, I mean, there is an entire subset of people, a subculture of people in Japan that go in for the fan service or especially idolize these characters. We won't get too far down that rabbit hole. but looks like it's scheduled to premiere January 13th, 2018. So today, the day that we're recording it, it is available on Crunchyroll. So if you've signed up, go ahead and check out the simulcast. It's probably going to be available in subtitles.
Ooh.
I'm excited to look into it. The other thing that has been confirmed is there is going to be the second season of Castlevania on Netflix.
A second season? I thought that was like written as just like a one-off type thing.
It was originally written as sort of like a testing it out, but it has, it was sort of a market test, and then because it gained so much, the series got picked up again.
How many times can you kill Dracula? I mean, how many times can you have a Belmont?
So according to the canon, and getting into Castlevania canon is a little bit of a sticky thing. According to the canon, Dracula is resurrected by Death and his cult every 200 years. Now, that's been warped a little bit in subsequent games and things like that, but Dracula comes back every 200 years, and the Belmonts are a bloodline of people who pass down essentially the art of vampire hunting and monster hunting, and they're supposed to be the whip, vampire killer whip, that Simon Belmont uses in most of his things. Like, that's supposed to be passed down as well. But
you know what? It's
Symphony of the Night was all about Alucard, who is Dracula's son.
Okay,
yeah.
So being Dracula in this is like, it has to kind of suck, a little, because you come back every 200 years and you're going to get killed. Being the Belmont has to be even worse, because it's like you go through a couple generations, probably 3 or 4, that get away with not having to go hunt vampires.
Yeah.
And then, it's like roll the dice. You come up 4 generations later, you're like, I have to go do what?
Yep.
Well,
usually something really nasty happens to the Belmont line, and they've been kind of taking a backseat more and more with subsequent titles, more releases. So yes, Netflix officially announced a second season consisting of 8 episodes this time, not the 4 episodes of the first season, and it will premiere in 2018. They haven't been very solid on an actual release date. I'm imagining it's going to be sometime around Halloween.
No.
Fall 2018 seems to be the butter zone for that kind of thing. But I was excited for it because I did like the first season. All 4 episodes of it. I think I wanted more, and that's what a season is supposed to do, is leaving you want more.
Well, something else some people are wanting more nowadays is cryptocurrency.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So
I've never wanted a cryptocurrency. I should have got Bitcoin back when it was like, I should have had 1 Bitcoin.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like any craze, is it starts to hit a bubble. And you can always tell when a bubble is starting when some big company tries to get in on it. Okay.
Yeah.
So collectible cards had a bubble in the 90s, late 90s. And one of the reasons you knew that the bubble was there was, one, they try to make collectible card games out of anything. But Pioneer Electronics made an anime-based collectible card game.
What?
Dead serious.
What?
Yeah. So, following in the tradition of we're going to get in on crazes, Kodak has joined the cryptocurrency craze by creating the Kodak coin. Okay?
Yeah.
So, Kodak has announced that they've made a cryptocurrency that is photocentric called the Kodak coin. It's going to allow photographers and agencies to take greater control of image rights management. The currency will provide photographers with a new revenue stream and secure platform for protecting their work.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is with this is Kodak won, and it will be an encrypted digital ledger of rights ownership. For photographers will be able to register both new and old photos in the service and blockchain, and then subsequently licensing them on the platforms. Transactions will be done in Kodak coin rather than U.S. dollars or other forms of fiat money. So, yeah. We're trying to attach a cryptocurrency to digital photographs and everything else like this. And I don't see this economy taking off. And I think this is going to be, this is one of the warning signs, it starts to set off alarm bells in my head.
Yeah.
So even Warren Buffett's going, cryptocurrencies are going to implode. Because number one, it's either A, going to have to become regulated, which means the government will get its hands in on it.
Yeah.
Or every government in the world is going to shut it down. Because Bitcoin, which hit like 16,000, then jumped to like close to 20,000, has started to tank again because China and a few other places are cracking down on cryptocurrency and saying no.
Well, during the spike, like the major concern was that, like, okay, so they are technically worth over 15,000 monies.
Yeah.
But people couldn't cash them in at that point. It's such a volatile market that those who would buy up that currency weren't paying the worth of it. They were paying like half cost or less to buy up these cryptocurrencies.
Right.
Because that was the only value they could assign to it. It's like, well, if they say it's 15,000, I mean, I would still be taking a bath at buying it at 7,500.
Yeah.
And I mean, that when you start getting into that kind of stuff, where it's like one of these things costs that much, and then Tumblr gets flooded with a bunch of spammers who are asking for 0.1% of Bitcoin, like that's somehow going to work. Somebody wrote their spam bot wrong, and so people were getting multiple personal messages.
So
I didn't get one, thankfully. But.
So everybody's trying to find the number 2 Bitcoin right now, okay, essentially. And the people that got in back in 2009 on Bitcoin, if they managed to survive everything like exchanges getting shut down, losing their crypto key, or anything else, if they managed to weather that, some of those people might actually be worth some money and worth cashing out at some point here. Mm-hmm. So, but that's about it. Everything else I think is just, it's no worse than dealing with the economics of any online game. Mm-hmm. And we've seen them all bust over time, which is why when I saw this, I went, oh no, this is an intangible asset. There's nothing backing it.
There's no country making a promise. There's an exchange, but the exchange changes so volatilely that there's no way to really rely on them. There's no like a gold or a silver note backing it. Like this is essentially people assigning worth to something, and that's the only worth that it has. Is how many people are saying it's worth how much.
And it's digital ones and zeros.
Yeah.
What was it? EverQuest, not EverQuest. Ultima Online back in the day. At one point during the craze, and this is all we're talking, intangible assets, a plot of land. Somebody sold a castle for like $300,000. Yeah, at the height of that craze.
You're talking like intangible assets. All I have to say to that is EVE Online.
Yeah,
is somebody accidentally presses a button and oops, I just warped our $1,000 actual money $1,000 spaceship into the middle of the enemy's patch of universe. Oh no, it's gone.
Yeah.
Lol.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. And I think, that's the scary thing with an intangible asset. At least if I'm holding on to like a comic book or a toy.
A 10-year-old Optimus Prime Transformer toy.
Yeah, I can touch this. I can touch, Optimus Prime, and I can sell it to somebody. It doesn't feel like snake oil.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on.
The creation of that toy was a factory somewhere, but it didn't create a run on GPUs for their processing power to mine new parts for your next Transformer toy or something like that.
Yeah.
That was another big thing about the cryptocurrency craze, was all of a sudden GPUs were being bought up and strung together to mine out these things because they were worth like thousands and thousands.
And we're hitting another rush like that. That happened, I think, in like 2011 for a bit, and it's happening again. Like cars are bought out again everywhere because there's a second craze. But the thing is the amount of electricity to mine that stuff now is, it costs more electricity than to mine that percent of a percent in Bitcoin. You almost have to get into a different one and hope it comes up. But a lot of these have either crashed or not worth anything because the craze hasn't caught on with them. and it's all part of it is market perception, public perception too.
Yeah.
And
that's the only thing this currency is banking upon.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's like, who knows what's going to happen in the future, until there's one that actually has some monetary backing of it of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. The stock market's still better in some aspects. There's still pieces of paper that are technically worthless, but at least they're attached to something. Cryptocurrency isn't even attached to anything.
That's like my favorite story about the Iraqi dollar during the whole war in Iraq thing, and when the economy kind of just fell out from that country. Because you can, if you go to any kind of like currency exchange or anything like that, you'll usually find somebody who's got like stacks upon stacks upon stacks of Iraqi money. And so what it was a guy was wandering around at the height of the economy crash with a wheelbarrow filled with money, had just, millions of dollars just piled up in this wheelbarrow. And he was trying to buy bread for his family. He goes into a store to see if they take Iraqi money. And when he gets turned down because no stores were accepting it, he comes back out and somebody had stolen the wheelbarrow and left the money piled up in the road outside.
Right, because the wheelbarrow is more useful than the fiat currency that was Iraqi money.
So in one sense, I can predict the future.
Oh.
Yeah. Nintendo. I know what the Nintendo is going to be coming out with the Switch because they made some recent announcements lately. First up, a lot of ports that have made fans really, really happy. So stuff that is going to be available on the Switch. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. Okay, whatever. I can't believe there's 8 of those games. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is jumping over from the Wii U. So they are going to bring that in there. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, which made people a lot of happy.
I'm hearing repeats. I'm not hearing anything new.
The World Ends With You Final Remix, which was a Nintendo DS title that gained quite the cult following. It's actually more of a cult RPG than it is a mainstream thing. And the big one that everybody is happy for is the Switch has actually gotten slated for a release of Dark Souls Remastered. So they're putting Dark Souls onto... The Switch is a portable console, people. So playing Dark Souls on the go...
Wait a minute.
Sounds exciting.
So we're talking about ports and things like this. That seems to be all I keep hearing nowadays. Are we making new video games anymore, or is it all remakes and everything?
So they also have announced, I'm getting there, they also have announced DLC for Super Mario Odyssey and Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
That's not new video games. It's adding content.
And then the new games that they have announced for this next release cycle are Mario Tennis Aces. So they are bringing Mario Tennis back. Hooray! And then SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy, which I don't know. It looks like a female fighter focused version of the popular King of Fighters franchise with new Dream Finish moves to round things out a bit.
That's the only new game in there, but the problem is, even with both of those, is that they are going off of established IPs.
Yeah.
Okay? At some point, Mario's going to have to hang up his hat because it's going to be in the retirement home. Okay?
I don't know. Odyssey is still is being treated as like one of the best Mario games since Mario 64. Really?
Really?
Yes. So, I mean, having played it, I can tell you it does have that classic Mario feel. There's a lot of nods to the classic games, the original games. There's a lot of really neat new content and capabilities out there. And so as long as they can continue coming back with something of a fresh idea, that's great. The problem that Mario games had was through the Wii and the Wii U release structure, it really kind of got the sense that Nintendo had this IP and didn't know what to do with it. It was the face of their company, and they couldn't really think of anything new. And so they either tried to going back to the way things were and not really implementing that very well, or they just handed you Mario Maker and were like, here, you sort it out. So the thing about it is, I'm excited. I want to see a Metroid on the Switch. Even if it is a re-release of Metroid Prime again. Like, I want to see a Metroid on the Switch. I want to see more Zelda. I want to see more Mario. And then, yes, I want that to open up the gates for new things to come in. Ostensibly. The thing that's getting a lot of attention is the fact that the Switch is being kind of positioned as also a market for mobile games. So a lot of new stuff is going to be either ports over from mobile games or designed as a mobile game kind of thing.
Is Candy Crush out yet on the Switch?
I don't know. Let me check that while you...
because, you know, that means that it's done. It's done. The world's over.
Yeah.
My thing is...
Is Candy Crush the new Plants vs. Zombies?
Pretty much.
Yeah. the new.
The thing is with, games don't seem the same since like the 80s and 90s, because while there was some established IPs, there was this plethora of new ideas. And it seems like since the 90s, all we've gotten is rehashes of safe IPs.
Yeah.
We don't see as many new things that get tried nowadays. And it's just a shame, in that aspect.
Well, the thing about it is, and this is there is no Candy Crush for the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, thank God. So, taking a position I'm not really want to take. The cost it takes, the time and talent that it takes to actually develop a new video game, and I'm talking new, is there's got to be some sort of promotional thing to you go through all the trouble to make this game, and then it goes to the publishers and the advertisers, and they have to figure out a way to make people want to play that game. So, like CD Projekt Red, I will use them as an example, though I don't think this really fits. They've been they teased a game something like 4 or 5 years ago called Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
And all we got was just some sort of like music video trailer that didn't really give you much of a sense of what it is you'll actually be doing in the game or what's involved, but the world that it set up and everything generated a ton of hype and kept people coming back to it every time CD Projekt Red, and this is before they even came out with Witcher 3. And so Witcher 3, whenever they were approached by Cyberpunk, they said Witcher 3 is our focus. And then Witcher 3 came out and they said the DLC is our focus. And the Witcher 3 DLC came out and they finally said, okay, now we're working on Cyberpunk 2077. We'll let you know when it's ready. And it was when it's done is when they're going to be releasing it.
The longer it's taken to do this,
yeah,
Cyberpunk is risking the possibility of becoming either the Duke Nukem Forever or the Daikatana of this generation.
That could be a possibility. The thing is, like Duke Nukem Forever had this wild development cycle where they were always changing the engine and changing things up on the developers because they wanted to be as current as possible when the game did come out. And it was just the best description I heard was it was trying to build a house next to a boat floating down a river. By the time you got far enough into actually developing the house, the boat would have moved down the river more, and you'd have to change the location of your house and start over again. And that's what happened to Duke Nukem Forever until it finally just kind of entered into this limbo state, and then Gearbox bought it and slapped it onto something and shoved it out the door and said, there, it's going to fail no matter what we put out. And they did put out something that was at least a playable game. May not have been a well-implemented game, may not have been a well-presented game, but it was a playable game, which is more than could be said for anybody who had worked on Duke Nukem Forever from that point onward. Daikatana made the exact opposite problem. They made all of these promises. They put somebody like John Romero in charge.
He said he was going to make everybody his bitch.
And nobody grounded him. And so he was just like, do this. And, they struggled to shove absolutely everything of his ideas into this game. And it ended up this clunky, poorly implemented mess that was barely capable of being called a playable game.
Yeah.
And, it
was bad.
It was bad. It was really bad. And so Cyberpunk 2077, we have no clue what's going into this game. There have been no previous titles, no previous IP, nothing really going on inside is like saying, oh, is it a cover-based shooter? Is it this or this or this? I'm pretty sure if we saw the design doc, we'd know exactly what we were coming to expect, but we don't see design docs for a reason until after the fact.
No,
way after the fact.
Because people nowadays pick it up, and people nowadays are assholes.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no faith left in anything. It's all we got to criticize it,
But this is the company that made sure that they put as much time and effort as is necessary into bringing us a game like The Witcher 3, which of the Witcher games I would say is the best one I've ever played. Of open world explory battle-y kind of things, is probably the best one I've ever played. I love the presentation, and while they do put Gwent in there, and Gwent was the new spin-off kind of card game sort of thing, you're not required to play it.
Well,
so, yeah.
This is also the game that, had, was it Gerard or whatnot? Geralt.
Yeah.
In a tub, and there was like sex on a horse and everything else like that. So, they've done plenty.
There's, well, I mean, the sex in the Witcher series has been kind of well known, even from the first game, though I can't really play enough of the first game to really confirm exactly. I played the second game up into the first sex scene, which is literally just shoved in your face. Like, there's no way to really miss it. And other than that, like, looking and saying, well, there's one, and that's, I mean, I play Second Life. I can get that in bed around Second Life.
Don't say that too loud.
They certainly are quite a bit more revealing in it, and handle it a lot better than BioWare ever did on any Mass Effect game. But really, when it comes to it, like sex in video games, like you either have a video game that's written entirely around sex, or you have games that sort of allude to sex or have some sort of sexual content and don't really make a big deal out of it. Because, I mean, there is so much else to be doing. It's like, why do you want to just spend all your time knobbing chicks? You could be out there fighting griffins, man.
But Facebook, you want to spend all your time on Facebook instead.
No.
Well, that's what everybody else is doing nowadays, right?
I don't like Facebook.
You don't like Facebook? Well, you're not going to like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently Facebook is talking about a new device called Portal, and it's going to be about $500, and it's going to be a piece of consumer hardware with a 15-inch screen, a wide-angle camera, and facial recognition and microphones to allow voice control. Facebook wants to control and put into your house a monitor and a screen.
So wait, how would one use this Portal?
Expected to use facial recognition to allow people to log into their accounts without having to type passwords and be dedicated to video chat. The gadget is designed by the shadowy Facebook department called Building 8 that's also working on mind reading technology. This sounds like the plot for a video game.
Yeah, this is some tinfoil hat shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like,
so Facebook wants to put a camera and microphone in your home, attached to a 15-inch display, and allow it for video chat. Okay.
So they're essentially trying to make like that video phone thing from Demolition Man,
or from Oceana. As most people are going, they're going.
Anytime anybody talks about putting some sort of like internet capable camera on your home, they go, "Oh, Big Brother! Oh, 1984!
1984!
Oh no!" But look at it. I mean, as by current statistics, 30-some million people have some form of smart speaker in their home as of recording this, and that is including Alexa and Google. What's the Google thing? Google Home, and what's the other one? Alexa and Google Home, and there's Siri, Cortana.
Yeah.
But the big one is the Alexa, and they have and it's some smart speaker, and people get it before they even wonder about can they use it or do they need it or anything like that.
But let's add a twist to this one that makes the Facebook one even creepier.
Yeah.
So Building 8, the top secret Facebook division, which used to be headed up by Regina Dugan, former boss of Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, which is dedicated to military research. Okay. How many crazy things have come out of DARPA?
You tell me.
Well, lots,
including
the internet.
Isn't DARPA responsible for the big Echelon scandal back in the day? Who was responsible for that? No, it was the FBI. Just confirmed that Echelon existed back during, like, that's why when you're in Perfect Dark back on the Nintendo 64 days, some of the bad guys that you fight are FBI agents because they were seen as the bad guy, always spying on you. Well, Big Brother 1984.
Yeah, they still are to a point, But
the major thing that I see here is, like, okay, Facebook wants to release this peripheral and try to figure out a way to convince people to buy it.
Well, okay, remember, Facebook's got in trouble for already targeting users with ads or, everything else, and psychologically with upvotes.
It's been, they have been, not just that, but they've been manipulating like the kind of content that gets delivered to you with their algorithm based upon the kind of posts that you put. They will inundate you with advertisements for things based upon what kind of mental. So if they think you're depressive, then they will hit you with a bunch of antidepressant ads or.
Yeah. And the thing is like, what if they decide, oh man, it's going to be scary because like, worst case scenario, and thank God that there are people out there who think worst case. It's like, oh, I could say something in my house and somebody at Facebook could hear it and take it the wrong way, and they could call the police or the FBI on me.
Yeah.
So
wait, is this thing going to be like an always on thing? Like as long as it sees you on camera?
Of course not. It's never always on, is
it's
it?
not recording absolutely everything you say and do.
No, I mean, it's not going to have a microphone and a webcam built in and wide angle cameras for even you to go remote into and check on your house or your pets or your kids. Oh no, it's never going to send an alert.
The thing about it is, with all of those the technical capability that you're talking about and everything like that, I have to look at you and say it's nothing new. There are already several different types of peripherals and devices that take this position in the home.
Yeah,
and really the only thing that we have to worry about, if there is something to worry about, is that Facebook actually has the clout and the marketing behind it to make that device more prevalent in homes, whereas these companies are more towards the security conscious or the home, the smart home of the future minded people.
Yeah, so the others don't have a social network behind them whose entire job is to push ads and manipulate you and everything else like this. This is why Facebook doing it's like, what?
Yeah, except Facebook's been trying to push the Oculus forever, and they're not exactly leading the industry on that yet. So I don't really think that Facebook actually has the wherewithal or the capability of a tech design firm to actually come out with something like that and have it be like pulled off without a hitch.
I mean, it's kind of funny when you think about it because, I mean, Facebook did try to make a smartphone for a bit there, and that tanked horribly,
But points for, looking into new ways to diversify and be innovative, and I have to give points to Facebook for even considering something like that. But the other thing is, this is a news story about a device, and I have been very wary about news stories about such devices because I got really, really, really excited, and I'm sorry I'm having to admit this, I got really, really excited about the Microsoft Courier. Do you remember that?
Is this like the Phantom console?
So the Microsoft Courier was a internet-ready tablet that was produced as sort of a concept design thing that somehow leaked out of Redmond campus. It was not meant to be seen by the public. It was not a product they were working on. It was basically a team that was tasked with coming up with new products and ideas. What the Courier was a part of a bank of ideas that initially, I believe, turned into the Microsoft Surface line of things. Like, this is pre-Surface sort of things. The Courier itself was a tablet that was arranged like a book. So it was two of these kind of like 7-inch tablets, bookended.
I remember seeing this in the magazines at the time.
They opened up, and it was like having a 2-screen tablet that interfaced back and forth. And so we could be doing something on one side and do something else on the other side. They had masterful integration in between, and it looked sexy. It was just this amazingly well-designed presentation. And, the whole internet started blowing up about it. There were news stories and speculation, people going, oh my God, where can I find one? Where can I order one? And it wasn't even vaporware. Like, it wasn't even greenlit.
Yeah.
And Microsoft had to basically release saying, whoa, hold your horses. This is getting way too out of hand. We're not even deciding we're going to make this thing. This is part of just a brainstorming pool. This is just an idea. This is not something that we want to make, and we don't think it's very credible to make something like this. And so,
no, and that's the funny thing.
They pulled the plug on the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is like something like that is like the it looks cool and it gets a lot of hype and people think they want it.
You don't.
But then afterwards they don't. And I've seen this with the actual Microsoft Surfaces like 3 and 4. It's like where I work, people said they really wanted these. And they're like, oh, and there's all this hype. But after using them, they decide they don't want them. Mm-hmm. The one that's coming in, to replace it is actually a Dell.
Yeah.
Say like Dell 5285.
Huh.
And there's two big things why the Dell one's winning out. One, it has a smart card reader built in.
Yeah.
Two, it has more available USB ports.
Yeah, the Surface is a very kind of limited sort of netbooky. It's like a very overpriced netbook.
Yeah.
And that's after, like, if you look in previous episodes, you would see me with a Surface Pro 2 here in front of me. And that is the only time that I had ever used that after getting that device, was to bring it in here and have a screen in front of us. Once that stopped being very reliable on the battery life, mostly because I didn't charge it, I switched to a tablet that I use more on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But yeah, you really need, when you get a device like the Surface, you really need to have a plan to utilize that device on a daily basis, multiple times a day, and you need to work that into your workflow so that you actually continue to use that something. Otherwise, the $3,000 to $4,000 price point
is absurd.
Is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, seems like a great device.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of hype behind it. But the coolness factor started to wear off when people were trying to use it practically, especially in business.
Yeah.
Because if you have smart cards in the business for security and everything else like this, the Surface became unwieldy because there was nothing built in for that or anything like that.
And there's such an encapsulated system that it would be very hard to do anything modular with them at all. And
that's the other thing is it's like the Surface, there was no way to actually get into the units, short of trying to get into it like you do to repair a cell phone.
Yeah, where warranty violation.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it was a sealed unit on the Surfaces. So your first step in trying to repair a Surface is pull out your heat gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And melt the glue. And
then pry the screen off.
And be careful not to warp the screen or scorch it.
But the Dell is like the 5285 Latitude. Okay.
Yeah.
6 screws on the back. And then you use your, basically your sponge style tool. And you pop the screen forward and the thing opens up. And lo and behold, I can get to my hard drive, my M2 card. I can take it out. I can upgrade it.
Yeah.
I can get to the memory. And, oh, look, this is semi-serviceable now. Oh, look, the battery, I can replace it.
So yeah, for a concept like that, jumping back to the thing, I don't think Facebook really would come out with something like that. And if they did, it would be a bad move, just because there's already plenty of market inundation for stuff that already accomplishes that is going to be way, way more open. And this thing is, if Facebook releases something and it's not open, then people aren't going to want it. If they release it and it's open, people are going to hamstring whatever nefarious purposes they might have it for, because they're going to shut off the camera, they're going to shut off the microphone, and they're going to probably take off whatever proprietary operating system Facebook happens to have on it.
I can see this blowing up in the news, something nefarious, just like the smart TVs, like the Samsung TVs and all, are actually listening to you at all times and everything else like this.
Yeah, that was a little scary.
Yeah. Because this is Facebook, of all people, who says we're going to try to, manipulate and filter out what's real content and fake content.
That was like, it's like Zuckerberg. There's two very good stories about Zuckerberg. The first one is a quote, which I'm pretty sure is misattributed if it actually did. But people basically, when he was asked during the first initial boom of Facebook why people were signing up for it, he says, I don't know. I created a website and people just started sending me their personal information.
Yeah.
And the second one was, once again, misattributed and unconfirmed. But apparently, since people created this, there was a social thing, sort of a meme push that said that Zuckerberg was not human, that he was an alien pretending to be human.
Oh.
And apparently it became so popular and so popular and so prevalent that Zuckerberg allegedly had to go and attend human courses, basically, like how to act more human, how to appear more human.
Well, I can see that, because really smart people are people that are like, slightly autistic, and they're usually really smart people too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to go attend social etiquette sort of things to properly socially interact, because how many really smart people do we know that are really smart, great people, but insanely awkward?
Yes.
Or just don't act like what you would expect for a normal
we're here
human.
being insanely awkward right now because we're having a conversation with a couple of cameras and putting it out on the internet. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, it is confirmed statistically, psychologically, in journals and stuff like that. Smart people have worse lives because we spend so much time thinking about all the negative aspects, and ignorance is truly bliss. So the other side about it is like, I don't know, I was too busy being smart to really figure out exactly what the secret handshake is these days, or why twerking is so popular, or how I want to meet the salesman. I want to meet the guy who sold this and said that pole dancing was a form of workout.
So I want to go back. I want to step back a little bit here, because as soon as you said ignorance is bliss,
Yeah.
And that the people that have worse lives because we think about more of these things that are a lot more pragmatic. Quite frankly, I think in the long run,
Yeah.
the people that are pragmatic and think about things that could go wrong and plan for them,
Yeah.
we have better lives in the long run, because we are not going and it's like, oh, I just want to hear positive things and false positivity and everything else like this. It's like, why are you being so negative? Blah, 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 blah.
I think more along that, like the reason that they also say that smart people are the ones who are pragmatic and more cautious actually have it negatively affects your health, because you're spending so much time in an anxious sort of a stressed out state trying to figure out everything that can possibly go wrong and how to deal with that. And that takes years off your life. Stress kills you. So,
Oh, it's better to at least be somewhat planned for it than to have the bus roll up on life and just take you to Pound Town. You're not expecting it coming. It's like, where did this come from? Oh my God. At least I'm going, oh, the bus is coming. Let's see what I can do.
The bus.
Yeah, here comes the bus. Let's see what I can do. I don't want to go to Pound Town.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I want to go to Beer Town. I don't want to go to Pound Town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
how many times, how many times do you hear about that? It's just like, somebody's all like, oh, we're just going to talk about the positive and everything. And then next thing you know, it's like,
we didn't see that coming.
We didn't see that coming. Yeah. They lose everything. It's just like, oh, yeah.
Well, either way, I think that's all I've got for today.
I think that's all I got too.
All right. Well, keep your eyes out, folks. Of course, hit us up on Facebook, and otherwise, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, we are probably going to we're putting out content also as we see fit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that's our.
If we feel like we have enough to talk about.
Yeah, that's our resolution this year, because the thing is like some of us we're getting busier in our personal lives or with work and everything else, and this is something we do as a hobby and for fun. We're not making money off of this yet.
And every time we take a step forward trying to think we can start monetizing this, a rule changes or some social movement happens, and we're kind of left holding the bag.
And everybody's like, I want to be a YouTube star nowadays. It's like, we want to do something. We're hoping to entertain somebody out there. Maybe you'll get to the point where enough people go, yeah, we really like listening to those folks.
Yeah.
Whether we're rambling on for like 45 minutes, an hour, or we're doing like something else, like a Let's Play, or talking about, anything else. It's like, we're doing this for ourselves.
Yeah.
So we're not going to adhere to any YouTube schedule where you got to put out like 5 videos a week at 10 minutes each.
Yeah.
PewDiePie can do that.
I mean, we spent a year and a half basically doing the whole like, comment, and subscribe dance and trying to come up with something that people would want, or people want to watch, or following the trends, or things to talk about and all of that. And really, we just want to do stuff that we enjoy.
Yeah.
And so we can continue doing that as a hobby, but it's going to mean less content overall.
And I think it's going to keep us. It's going to keep us a little bit more entertaining too, because stuff's not going to be forced. I mean, I'm horrible with my hobbies and things like this, because I'm cyclical. Mm-hmm. I go obsessive compulsively cyclical with certain things. It's like, I can go from video games to electronics to toys to like comics or collectible card games. And I'm kind of out of a video game phase right now, and I'm going back into cards. It's just,
oh, believe me, he's going through cards.
Yeah. So I get cyclical. So yeah, so that's kind of our state of things. Let us know what you think. We still want to hear from you in the comments and everything like this.
We want to thank you for following with us, those people who have been with us to the beginning. Of course, remember to share us around if you like what you see, and comment with us. If we're waiting in the comments to converse if you guys want to add into a topic or think we should look at it in a different way. we're definitely open to constructive criticism and conversation.
Yes.
And
with all that, I think we'll see you next time.
Laters, folks.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah. And you know what the worst part is?
I'm just sitting here just imagining, every time you tell me about the worth of cards and everything like that, granted, I never had alphas.
Yeah.
I had some of the first runs and everything like that, but I'm just sitting remembering when I decided to quit Magic, taking these cards by the handful out of their box,